what's on deck for today's video is some offensive coordinators that I think the New Orleans Saints should at least go and target and interview. Plus, we're going to dive into the latest on the updates around the offensive coordinator search. The Saints are going to have an interview with a very high-profile candidate, and I'm going to give you my top 5 offensive coordinator candidates, an updated list as we have some news around some OC moves across the league. But before we get into that, guys, programming announcement. Weekly live shows are back, baby. On Wednesday, producer Seeps and I will be live on the channel. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you can join us and you don't miss any of our interactive, free live content. I encourage you to join us, and I hope to see you guys there on Wednesday. Don't forget to turn on your notifications and subscribe. All right, so this coming in from Tom Pelissero, the Bears were working towards a deal to hire Shane Waldron as the new OC. So that's the biggest news around them. The Saints did have an interview scheduled with him. They were rumored to still be interested in Shane Waldron, but unfortunately, he is headed over to Chicago, to take over for an offense that could have Caleb Williams. So, shout out to him. Congratulations, Shane, on the new job, but maybe things are, going to be pretty nice for New Orleans, as Aaron Wilson added some context. Highly regarded quarterbacks coach Jerrod Johnson interviews virtually today with the Saints for the offensive coordinator vacancy after Pete Carmichael was fired. He's expected to interview in person with the Browns on Tuesday for their OC job per league sources. So I'm going to just go ahead and say this. Don't read too much into the in-person versus online, virtual, Zoom interview. Don't read too much into that. You never know what's going on. Maybe Jerrod Johnson just couldn't get a flight to New Orleans. Maybe his car had a flat tire and he couldn't drive. There's so many random things. I personally wouldn't read too much into it, but if you want to, can't tell you how to think. So who is Jerrod Johnson for those of you who don't know? In 2023, he was the Houston Texans quarterbacks coach, and he was critical to CJ Stroud's development. Stroud was absolutely incredible this year. We got to see the Saints play against CJ Stroud this season, and he was phenomenal. I don't know if you guys got to watch him in the playoffs. I don't know if you guys got to watch him throughout the entire season, but the dude was lighting it up, and he was incredible. And I know my boy Andrew Ramstead was pumped watching our sweet prince CJ Stroud play. And, of course, our guy Jeremy Chuggs, who loves his CJ Stroud. Yeah. So in 2022, he was the Vikings assistant quarterbacks coach. And in 2017, he joined the San Francisco 49ers as a part of the Bill Walsh Diversity and Coaching Fellowship movement, initiative, if you will. And then in 2019, same thing. He did that with the Indianapolis Colts. And then, as you see on your screen, 2022 assistant quarterback coach, 2023 quarterback coach for the Texans. And he was a former player turned coach in 2017, played football at Texas A&M, jumped around a little bit, didn't log any NFL snaps in the regular season during his playing career, but he did start under Kyle Shanahan at San Francisco, like we said earlier. So maybe Jerrod Johnson could help the Saints tap into the fountain of youth. They do have an aging roster that is expensive, but still a quality and talented unit, if you ask me. And Johnson is only 35 years old. And to be honest, I think that this offense could greatly benefit from a new, fresh, young energy, because these guys need somebody who's going to inspire them, who's going to let them have some fun and get creative on the field. So I want to take a second to look at the QB comparison between Derek Carr versus CJ Stroud. And now, obviously, you can't give Johnson full credit on Stroud's development. Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, has done an incredible job with him as well. But Johnson and Slowick worked side by side to put up a 63.9 completion percentage, over 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions for CJ Stroud. A passer rating of over 100. Compared to Derek Carr, who had a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of interceptions. Good passer rating, that was top 10. He's also top 10 in passing touchdowns. But the completion percentage, just under 70%, not bad. The yards, though, could have been better. And I know a lot of these stats come from garbage time for Derek Carr. And here's my thing. When it comes to DC, New Orleans has to find a way to maximize him in 2024. He's your quarterback. You're not getting another option. You're not drafting a quarterback in round 1. You're not going to go and sign somebody in free agency. You're not going to go make a big splash trade, Derek Carr is your starting quarterback. So the Saints have to find a way to make the most out of the cards that they've gotten dealt, which they dealt themselves by signing Carr in free agency last offseason. So I think that the Saints had to get this offensive coordinator hire right if they want to find long-term success. And I think Johnson would be a great fit because you could possibly have him around for a handful of years rather than just having him come around and go get a head coaching job in a year or two. So I think that Johnson would be a great fit. I hope that he gets the job, and quite honestly, I think that a lot of Saints players would benefit from him as well. So I want no bad juju in the comments section. I want no bad juju around this team or no bad juju around me. If you want the Saints to get this hire right, you see what you got to do. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Don't be the jinx, Saints fans. Like the video so the Saints will get it right. All right, so here's some other offensive coordinator candidates that I really like. GJ Kinne, I talked about him briefly on another show. Man, this guy is something special. Whatever he puts his hands on, literally turn into gold. He took the Texas State Bobcats to their first ever bowl game in team school football history. He took them to the First Responders Bowl and got them a dub. And before GJ Kinne stepped foot in San Marcos, the Bobcats were averaging 21 yards per game and 21 points per game, 325 yards per game. Now, in 2023, that's over 11, that's 15 points more per game. It's 2 touchdowns more per game. That's all I have to say. And over 100 more yards per game. 457 yards per game is outrageous. But wait till you see what he did at Incarnate Ward. In 2021, 39 points per game and 513 yards per game. That's pretty solid if you ask me. But in 2022, when Kinne stepped in and he said, hey, this is my offense. I want to put my fingerprints all over this. 51 points per game and 721 yards per game. The dude is talented. He's young. He's innovative. He's smart. I think that he's going to be around the college level for a little bit. The Texas State Bobcats did extend him and gave him a raise after they got the success that they had this past season. So it might be hard to get him to leave, but if an NFL team came knocking on Kinne's door and said, hey, we're going to give you a lot more money to come coach at an NFL level, you're telling me he wouldn't take it? I think that it's a call to at least make an interview that should happen. Zac Robinson, though, he is a name that actually has some buzz around the New Orleans Saints. He did have an interview scheduled with the Black and Gold, and he is a pretty interesting candidate. He's actually gotten a lot of buzz from a lot of teams. The quarterback coach and the passing game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. He was a 7th-round pick by New England back in 2010, and he spent 4 years in the NFL as a quarterback. And in 2023, like we said, he was the pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And he's viewed as one of the top OC candidates this offseason. And I found it pretty interesting that the Bears, before they hired Shane Waldron, or not before they hired him, but it's now known that had they not gotten Shane Waldron, Zac Robinson was their number 2 guy. And our guy, Harrison Graham, who covers the Bears here at Chat Sports, he was so high on Robinson. He loved him, and he wanted him to be the OC. I think Robinson could be pretty interesting. He's already had some interviews with other teams in previous offseasons, so that's a name to keep an eye out for, and I think that he could be the name for the job. But roll call, Saints fans. If you haven't already and you're still here, we're doing something right. So subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the Wednesday live show. I'm telling you, you don't. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be an absolute blast. We're going to be talking ball, throwing back drinks, and having a good old time like we did on Sundays throughout the regular season. So roll call if you're going to be there. Type real one in the comment section. I can't wait to see all you there. All right. Another name to look out for, shout out to Mitchell Renz of the Raiders Report for this one. Bill Musgrave. He's a senior offensive assistant over with the Cleveland Browns, and I know that head coach Kevin Stefanski, he had a lot of hurdles that he had to jump through. 4 different quarterbacks started for him in the season, and he took them to the playoffs. And, yeah, got boat raced by C.J. Stroud and the Texans, but they had a lot of really notable injuries. Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, just to name a few of them, and then a plethora of other ones on both sides of the ball. Bill Musgrave, he is a experienced coach in this league, and he actually has some familiarity with Derek Carr. So whenever he took over as the Raiders offensive coordinator in 2015, Musgrave took over an offense that in 2014 was last in yards per game and second to last in points per game at 282.2 yards per game and 15.9 points per game. Less than 16 points per game is abysmal. The Raiders, though, they made a huge jump in 2 seasons. They jumped up to 373 yards per game and 26 points per game. That was top 7 in both of those categories at the time. And in 2015 to 2016, these are Derek Carr's stats right here. 62.4 completion percentage, just under 8,000 yards, 60 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. It's pretty good. That's good. I'm just going to say that. That's good. Now, he is a little bit of an older guy. I may not be sold on him, but if you want to go with somebody who has familiarity with Carr and knows how to maximize Derek Carr, like I talked about earlier in the video, Bill Musgrave might be an interesting option. All right, now for a fun one. Drew Brees. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on the comment section. I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen it on TikTok. I've seen it on YouTube. Where haven't I seen it? Every single Saints fan, it feels like, would love to see Drew Brees take over as a coach for this team, whether it's the quarterback's coach, whether it's an offensive coordinator, whether at some point in the future it's a head coach. I'm not sitting here saying that the Saints are going to do it. That is not what I'm saying at all. Let me make that explicitly clear. But I do think that it would be really fun. This is purely just a fun idea. He knows the team. He knows the city. He was successful in this team. He knows how to bring the passion and the fire, not only out of the players, but out of the fan base as well. He can keep this team united. He can keep this team excited, and he can keep this team just moving on all platforms. And for the record, I will say this. I know that there's not really any interest from Brees to be a coach one day, but I do think that he'd actually be a pretty good coach. He's a likable dude, a great leader, really awesome motivator. He's smart. He's a talented player, and I think that he does a really good job of connecting with guys in the locker rooms that he's a part of. So I do think that he would actually be a pretty good coach. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Would be a lot of fun, though. But let me know, Saints fans, it's just a hypothetical. Would you want Drew Brees to be the coach for the Saints? Just let me know why or why not. I'm curious. It's just for fun. Don't take it too seriously and, have a little bit of fun in the comments section. But like I teased, here are my top 5 picks in no particular order for offensive coordinator. I love Joe Brady. I love GJ Kinne. Zac Robinson would be an awesome hire. Jerrod Johnson would be an incredible hire. And I absolutely love Klint Kubiak. I think that these 5 guys, if you go with any of these guys on this list, it's a good hire. Of course, there's also other great options out there as well. So let me know who you like in the comment section. And as always, y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.